Hey, come here. You like pro wrestling? We got a little something for you. Two fans, 3,000 miles away. We each been watching for more than 30 years. Celebrating the art form, the action, the homoeroticism. We ain't rating matches. We ain't analyzing stories. We ain't experts. We just sit down, shut up, and mark out! Welcome, everybody. We're back. It's another edition of Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out. I'm Blade Daly, and once again, I am joined by the one, the only, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, the greatest Canadian pro wrestling podcaster in the history of pro wrestling podcasts. Joshi G is back. Joshi G, hello. How are you?
Hey. I'm pretty good. How are you?
You know, that was kind of low-key based on the intro I gave you. Maybe let's...
Well, I was going to add more, I'm just...
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask how you're doing.
You're just Canadian, so you're being polite? Is that what you're saying?
I'm going to start acting like Mike Bailey, okay?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, because you've turned all of Canada against me now. At a time when I might have needed Canada more than any other. You have facilitated the turn of Canada against me.
You find us too nice.
I all I said was that Mike Bailey is very polite in his introductions or in his promos, and you know what? He did nothing to disprove that this week. He gave the most polite promo I've ever heard against Kenny Omega. And Kenny was like, "Why are you being so nice to me? This is kind of weird."
Kenny was being a bit weird, to be fair. I love Kenny Omega, but
Kenny was being funny. I thought he was very funny when he was like, congratulations, Kenny. And Kenny was like, thanks. Like
he was being funny, but at the same time, Mike
funny.
Bailey, he looks up to Kenny. Kenny's his inspiration. I expected, I wanted Kenny Omega to adopt him or something. See,
that really isn't pro wrestling. That's some weird soap opera thing that you're just living in your head. And this is why you're not living.
No,
this is why we can't give you the pencil in AEW.
I'm not living anything in my head. Mike Bailey is adorable.
And Kenny Omega should adopt him.
Well, maybe not adopt him, but he could have taken him under his wing. He could have given him a handshake. He could have hugged him. I mean, he didn't do any of those things. And yes, I mean, Mike Bailey was being so sweet. I just felt a little bit bad for Bailey.
What's next? Should he kiss him on the forehead?
Sure.
Yeah, I bet you would have liked
Bring
that.
him some flowers,
Freaking, what's with you and flowers?
I have no idea. I just really like flowers.
I mean, that's always like a part of your plan. Like, who was it that you were going to carry flowers around just in case they got mad at you, just to give to them? I forget who it was.
Oh, that
was a long
question.
time ago.
Was it Hangman?
It might have been Hangman. Joshi, we are 48. This is our 48th episode of this show. Can you believe that?
Man,
can you believe
time passes by quickly. I mean, I can and I can't.
Yeah, we were just children when we started doing this show.
Yeah, we were little kids. I mean.
Yeah, we were little kids. And look how much we've grown.
We've grown a lot. Yeah.
Less than a year.
I went from 14 to 37.
Exactly.
In under a year. I mean,
exactly.
Incredible.
In less than a year.
I mean, for some reason, Neon Ghost thinks I'm like 50, but
Ghost, bad on Ghost.
Well, I think it's because I've lied about my age so many times on this podcast.
You're kind of a chronic liar about your age.
In actuality, I am 37.
I'm 45, and that's my
you said
real.
You were 46 last time.
No, I did not.
Yes, you did.
That is my shoot age. I am 45.
Why don't you tell the truth? Why'd you say 46?
I never did say 46, you freak. Okay.
You're always changing your age.
I'm not. I'm 45. Why would I lie about 1 year of my age? That doesn't even make sense.
That's my
That only
question.
makes sense when you're like 17 and you're like, let me have these cigarettes.
Well, yeah, I don't want to be ID'd.
So
I need a fake ID. Yes.
While you've been shipping Kenny Omega and Mike Bailey,
No, not like that.
While you've been doing that, poor Veda Scott.
No, hey, whoa. First off, it's not that I'm shipping them. It's that Mike Bailey, he's a huge Kenny Omega fan. Mm-hmm. He told them how much he means to him. Kenny Omega was just being a little bit cold with him. That's all. A little bit sarcastic.
So maybe you're not shipping them as a couple, but like as some weird father-son thing. It's whatever you're doing, it's weird. While you've been doing that, I have been on a quest, a voyage to dig into Japanese wrestling, Joshi. That's
you're
right.
Weird. Yeah.
Oh, burn. Fucking wicked burn.
Gosh.
God, what is it? What's gotten into you? That's like Canadian. That's basically like a Canadian saying "fuck you" is calling somebody weird.
Well, you've got it all wrong. Okay, you asked me how I was. I said I was doing pretty good. I asked you how you were doing, and then you turned everything upside down.
I did.
Yes, it was you. You always put the blame on me. You always antagonize.
I do. I mean,
you antagonize all the freaking time.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Actually, that's true. That I do that. Yeah.
You've been watching Japanese wrestling, yes?
Yeah, I've been watching Japanese wrestling. Thanks for interrupting me with your feelings.
You know what? I'm out of here. I'm freaking I am tired of this. I am getting frustrated. I am going to beat you up.
Probably. I hope we can't actually meet in real life anymore, because if we do, you owe me so many ass whoopings that it's like it's going to be bad for me. Anyway, I've been watching Japanese wrestling this week. Your love of Joshi has inspired me. Your name is Joshi. I mean, for Christ's sake. Your parents were very prophetic when they named you. And I have been watching All Japan Women's Wrestling on a Blu-ray called Joshi for Dummies. Shout out to IVP Videos. Joshi for Dummies, the best of All Japan Women's that goes from like 1975 to 1985. 10 years of Pro Wrestling Noah, which is a very bizarre DVD because it's an actual special that was on Japanese TV. So there's tons of people talking in Japanese in between the matches, and I have no fucking idea what they're talking about. But
probably talking about you.
They probably were. Well, what's not to talk about me? You know what I mean? Also, I've been studying the career with the complete Great Muta collection, the career of one Keiji Muto. And I got to say, guy had something special. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Guy was pretty good. That's what I'd say. Pretty good. Yep.
Larry David. So I'm very happy that you're watching All Japan Women's Wrestling. You know how much I love that promotion. Mm-hmm. So, very proud of you.
Thanks.
Yes, I actually need to get back on that. There's just so much content.
There's a lot of content to consume, to enjoy. Yeah.
But man, those Joshis were as tough as men, maybe even tougher. So
tougher than a $2 steak.
Yeah. Hi, JR.
Yeah, exactly. So what I've concluded from this is Akira Hakuto.
Yeah.
Hakuto. Terrifying.
Oh my God.
I mean, I'm already like really into Minami Toyota, really into Aja Kong, really into Bull Nakano. Akira's right there. I mean, like,
absolutely.
The bell rings and these women, it doesn't matter who it is, they just beat the shit out of each other immediately. Like, there's no fucking around. These guys don't just like fucking start off with they don't grab a hold. They try to kill each other immediately.
They do. They're so tough.
It's fucking badass.
Oh, yeah.
So there's plenty of All Japan Women's on YouTube, folks. Go find it. It's great. If not, if you want it in widescreen and you want to watch the same version you'd see on YouTube, but widescreen and a little nicer, go to ivpvideos2.com, the number 2, ivpvideos2.com. Doing the Lord's work over there. Joshi, we got a lot to talk about. Should we get into it?
I mean, you didn't ask me what I've been up to, but sure.
Well, you've been trying to ship Mike Bailey and Kenny Omega. I mean, that was...
I am not... Okay.
What have you been up to, Joshi?
I've been watching movies.
Yeah.
Movies from French New Wave, Italian Neorealism movies.
Oh, here we go.
Louise Buñuel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those movies are just so much fun. So that's what I've been doing. And of course, watching wrestling.
Are they Oscar-nominated movies?
No.
Oh, well, that's shocking.
Why do they have to be Oscar nominated?
Because you only like Oscar-nominated
Yeah, well,
movies.
I'm not getting into this. So
that's what I'm saying. We should probably get into something else.
All right, fine. Jeez.
Take us away.
You're done picking on me?
No.
For now?
No.
Okay. Well, okay. Just quiet for now. All right. So there's something important that we need to address, iBlade.
Yeah.
There has been, I would say for like a good 2 years, there was this narrative that AEW wasn't doing well. It was the poorly managed company, very negative, and all of that, right? And so, of course, in the second half of 2022, AEW wasn't in the best place. At least not when it came to the narrative. There was a lot of drama.
It was dark.
It was a dark time.
Very dark time. Brawl Out, just that whole thing just cast such a shadow over the company. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then 2023, not an easy year for AEW. The second half of the year was also rough. On top of that, there was the whole, MJF, Adam Cole brochacho thing that didn't really work for everybody. So I'd say
controversial story.
Yeah. I'd say the second half of 2022 and 2023 were rocky for AEW. And then 2024 was better, but there were still issues. They aired footage that some people didn't really want to see and didn't agree with them doing that. And we also, I guess, like after All Out, things weren't really consistent. So 2024, again, better than 2023, but it was, the product was still a little bit cold, to be frank.
Right.
So now, we're almost April 2025. And AEW in 2025 has picked up a lot. So, first off, the decision to show Dynamite and Collision on both TBS and TNT and HBO Max, very smart move.
Very smart
because
move.
Because like prior to Dynamite and Collision being simulcast on HBO Max, we didn't know how some viewers were watching AEW, just because, especially, let's say, our demographic, we don't really have cable. So I don't really feel we were being represented. And now that it's being simulcast, when you look at the cable numbers for Dynamite and Collision, they're actually really good.
What's weird is they've gone up.
They've gone up, yeah.
Yeah.
They're actually really good. And so that makes you wonder, so like how many people are tuning into HBO Max? How many people are actually watching AEW? And even Meltzer said, it's got to be a high number.
Right.
I mean, at this point, if you combine all the numbers, I mean, we're never going to know the HBO Max numbers, but from my understanding, Warner Brothers, they're really happy with the Max numbers. And so I feel there are a few reasons why AEW is doing so well this year. So I'm going to break them down, and then iBlade, I want you to jump in. So first off, booking smaller venues, very smart decision.
Very. TV looks so much better.
It looks so much better. These venues look really cool for the most part. The fans feel more connected to the wrestlers. They feel like they're a bigger part of the show. Huge improvement. Because, like last year, they were booking venues that were just too big for TV. Yes. And look, I get it. WWE likes to have as many people as possible, but AEW, like, I get wanting I don't know, over 10,000 people at your pay-per-views, but for weekly TV, does it really matter, you know? So I am glad that they made that change. Second thing that they've done, which has helped a lot, they let go of the wrestlers that were clearly unhappy.
Yeah.
And that's made a huge difference. How many negative articles do you read about AEW now, besides Ryan Nematt's lawsuit? Seriously though, like,
can we just Joshi, can we pause for 1 minute and you and I are just gonna laugh?
Okay.
Because it's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. So 3, 2, 1.
That is the most negative and idiotic thing that has come out from AEW like this year, and I feel like nobody's taking it seriously anyway because it's so stupid.
His lawsuit was clearly like a troll lawsuit that was designed to like get him attention, basically.
Yeah.
And the way it was worded was so unserious and provocative. What he's being sued by AEW for is just to move the lawsuit to a private settlement, right?
Right.
He's not being sued for any money. And that he has tried to make himself the victim of this terrible conspiracy against him has been kind of ridiculous, and it just kind of makes him look like a try-hard dork that is showing why he's not more famous than he already is. Like, Ryan, you're answering the question that I would have, like, why should I care? You're showing me that I shouldn't. So good job.
Right. So that was the most negative thing, so to speak,
right,
that has come out of AEW this year, but like nobody's taking that seriously.
Right.
And then the other thing I wanted to mention was that the shows feel a lot more consistent. There's a lot more continuity. They know which wrestlers to feature regularly now. I don't feel the wrestlers get as lost in the shuffle or just disappear like they used to. So the shows overall, both Dynamite and Collision, have been consistently good. So that's made a huge difference as well. Now go ahead, iBlade. Tell me your thoughts. Thank
you. I'm going to try and bring myself down and be a little nicer, okay? I'm sorry. I got a little worked up earlier because you were so... I'm mad at you for turning Canada against me, okay? I'm trying to flee this country.
iBlade doesn't actually hate Canada. Okay, it's not true. I just tease him.
I don't
Stop bullying him.
I don't hate Mike Bailey. Okay? I like Mike Bailey.
All right. He doesn't hate Mike Bailey. I
like him too much. I should probably be a little more afraid of him. That's all I'm saying.
Let's leave iBlade alone.
Okay. Stand up for iBlade Daily. That's what hashtag. We need to start that hashtag. Stand up for iBlade Daily. So I think you're absolutely right. I think the venues have made a huge difference. The television presentation is so much more fun and so much more active. It's like, it's not as small as an ECW show. So I don't want to like have people run with that comparison, but it does feel like an ECW show with the energy level. They're able to shoot the show a lot differently because there's no empty seats. And so there isn't like, they're not avoiding huge parts of the arena. They're in like amphitheaters and stuff, and it looks awesome. Their set looks a little different every week. No tunnels this last week. I think it's just cool. You know, as somebody who does production, I notice stuff like that. And every week feels a little different. The Tron that they use is a little different every week, depending on the size of the venue. It's awesome. It's awesome. And Mike Mansouri and the people who produce this show are doing a great job. You know, something that we all used to comment on was the little weird audio issues and shit like that they would have. That's way less than it's ever been before. They have really stepped it up. So kudos to them for that. The other thing is, all the problem children are one by one are kind of all going. Malachi Black, Ricky Starks, you know, people who were obviously unhappy, Ray Phoenix, all of those people, Miro, they're gone. And so there isn't these dumb stories just circulating about them all the time that drag down and distract from the good that's happening. I thought it was really smart that they cut those guys loose before Revolution and right before Grand Slam so that didn't dominate the conversation and some dumb story didn't come out about that all over again. But the thing that really matters the most is that by eliminating these distractions and by eliminating this dumb discourse that I think Tony in the past kind of let throw him off course, they are putting out the best product they put out in years. And it's, I see people saying AEW is back. And while I appreciate that, I don't think AEW's actually ever been that bad. I just think like they are more focused than they've ever been. They know who they are in a way that they haven't for a long time. I think AEW's purpose is clearer than it's ever been. And you're seeing that reflected in the product. And I'm loving it. I'm loving where it's going.
I just want to add 2 quick points.
Mm-hmm.
So first point, I think that AEW wrestlers not mentioning WWE has helped immensely.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't worry about them. Don't stoop to their level. Just focus on your own company.
Mm-hmm.
That's, to me, it's made a huge difference. Second thing, Tony Khan not reacting to haters and mentioning WWE on Twitter and all that stuff, X, whatever. I hate that place. But Tony Khan not engaging so much on X and giving these haters more fuel has also been a huge benefit to AEW. What do you think, iBlade?
I totally agree. And it's also conversely, CM Punk is on WWE programming making reference to Brawl Out or I work with children and all that stuff. Yeah. But there isn't this cross-promotional discourse anymore. It just makes WWE look petty. Also, WWE going full fucking Nazi MAGA has... I'm just going to call it what it is. They are in full support of this horrible administration that is crippling this country and possibly the world. And I think it's losing them some fans at a time when AEW is starting to hit the gas. So fucking by all means, take your stupid shots. You guys work for fucking Nazi propagandists. So fuck you.
Right. Agreed. Absolutely. Well said, iBlade.
And also, 2022, dark year. Why? Fuck you, Phil Brooks. 2023, dark year. Why? Fuck you, Phil Brooks. Right around the same time, even in both years. Yeah. Phil Brooks acts like a fucking narcissistic dick, and AEW pays for it. No Phil Brooks, AEW's back on the upswing. So, fancy that.
He didn't belong in AEW.
No.
He's in WWE now. He has his little behavioral clause. He's going to act like a good guy and get along with everybody because the minute he acts up, he's out of a job. And where else is he going to go? So, listen, I don't have a problem with fans liking CM Punk. You could like whoever the heck you want.
Yeah.
But to act like he wasn't a huge problem in AEW is just delusional. And yeah, you could say, oh, but look at him now in WWE. He's such a good sport. Why do you think that is? It's not because he just changed his personality. People don't just freaking change in the matter of a year. Like, I'm sorry. And he was talking shit about WWE just a few years ago. He literally has nowhere else to work. He's going to be on his best behavior now because if he acts up, that's it for him. So just keep that in perspective. That's all I'm trying to say. Like, listen, there are wrestlers that I like a lot, but I'm not going to defend all of their actions. Right.
Well, let's put it this way. And this will be the last of our little tribalism, okay? Because, we are being blatantly tribalist right now, and I am totally fine with that. We don't do it very often, but this was worth mentioning. Phil Brooks did more damage to AEW while he was making millions of dollars being employed by AEW than Vince or Triple H or Nick Khan or any other person has ever done. Phil Brooks did more damage to AEW than all of them combined, okay? While he was being paid by them. He's a shithead. He's a dick. He's an egomaniacal cunt. The end. Joshi, time to move on to better things. But
yes,
one reminder, as great as it is that the ratings have improved, as great as it is that the public perception of AEW is changing, the product is just awesome. And that's the most important thing. And we're going to start talking about why. Music! Jerome? All right. Well, one thing that's been kind of awesome is the last 2 weeks on Dynamite, Joshi. We've had 2 women's main events on Dynamite, and they have featured 2 particular people each time.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be Timeless Toni Storm and Megan Bayne. This feud is heating up, and it's heating up in a quick. So Toni moved on from Mariah May, and she jumped into this feud with the Megasis, who's getting this kind of Brock Lesnar-ish push. But I think it's very indicative of the fact that Tony Khan sees Toni Storm as one of his biggest stars of either gender. He sees her as a draw. And I think there's data to support that because, you know, Toni was only on guest commentary last week. And then this week, she's wrestling in the main event. But their little confrontation at the end of Dynamite, these 2 episodes of Dynamite have been the highest rated shows on cable all year. And I think that's pretty telling. Also getting some main event glow was Thunder Rosa and Penelope Ford, who have both been featured a lot more. And I think that is just to the benefit of AEW. You're seeing the star power that they have invested in Toni Storm, building her up into this huge star. She is now able to use that to transfer to others. And Mercedes, same thing. Mercedes, you know, I would like to see Mercedes in more feuds rather than just build-ups to matches. I understand why they've done it, but I think this forthcoming thing with Athena is going there. But you see why there's been so much time focused on Toni and Mercedes. Because ultimately, if you give them the glow-up that you've given them, Toni invested a year in them. Now he can use them to help build up that entire division. And that's what I see happening. Megan Bayne is next. Thunder Rosa is getting heated up again. You know, she made mention to Toni when Toni, right before Toni decided to rename the team Thunder Tits. She made mention of the fact that she wants her belt back. And I think that's a really key point. I would love to see that progress. I would love to see Thunder Rosa have a go for the title again. But there's other stuff going on too. Willow and Marina Shafir seem like they're on some kind of collision course. Willow came out to help Swerve on Dynamite this past week when Marina came out to hit Swerve in the leg. And then they show what I love about Swerve is he's smart. He's not just a dumb babyface that gets beat up over and over again. Okay, so, you know, you have Marina coming out to attack Swerve, and then Willow comes out and holds her off. And Swerve says to Mox, you know, you're not used to dealing with somebody smarter than you, John. So you got Willow and Marina, you got Thunder Rosa, you got Penelope Ford, you got Toni and Megan Bayne, you got Mercedes and Athena, which clearly seems to be pending. So it's pretty exciting. And for all the people that aren't getting a lot of focus right now, you build Megan Bayne up, you build Thunder Rosa back up, you build Penelope Ford up, then you have more people to pass on some glow to others. And we'll see. It looks like, you know, there's people knocking on the door. I will say that the one person I think has been a casualty of all of this, unfortunately, has been Chris Statlander. Her story seems to be lost in the sauce right now. You know, her and Willow seem to be going somewhere after her thing with Stokely abruptly ended. And now, you know, she's had to be a team player and kind of help put over Megan Bayne as a, you know, dominant force, and more power to her. That's great teamwork right there. It's like, hey, we got to get Megan over for this feud with Toni. You got to do a few jobs. I mean, they protected her a little bit, but she made Megan look pretty good. So I would like to see Chris Statlander back in the mix because she is so good and such a vital force in AEW. If Megan wins the title from Tony, Statlander should win it for Megan. That's what I think. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes. What are your thoughts on this, Joshi?
So I'll start with the woman headlining 2 Dynamites in a row.
Yeah.
I think it's very telling that the woman that's been featured, and that is the biggest draw, clearly, is Toni Storm. So I think right now, Tony Khan is noticing that Toni Storm is a huge draw.
Yeah.
And she absolutely deserves to main event a pay-per-view. I don't know when that's going to happen, but it does need to happen at some point. So the thing about it, this is how I feel. I feel the women's title is more prestigious than the men's right now. I really do.
Oh, I agree.
I love Swerve. I hope he beats Moxley. But right now, the champion that I'm most invested in is Toni Storm.
And Mercedes.
And Mercedes, yes, of course. Mercedes and Toni Storm.
Yep.
So I do like that they've been headlining Dynamite. I think that's a really good sign. And I do like that they've been featuring certain women regularly, like you had said. You know, Megan Bayne, obviously, Penelope Ford, Willow, Marina Shafir. Mercedes has been featured regularly. Now, I do agree about Statlander, though. After her 2 matches with Mercedes, although she lost, she looked very strong, and I feel she was elevated in those matches. So I don't want her to be in a situation where she's not really doing much. She is someone that you need to continue to build on. I don't want her to get lost in the shuffle. And honestly, Statlander is one of those wrestlers that if her contract ends, WWE will try to sign her.
They're going to try to sign all of them.
Yeah,
all of
and
them.
she would be a huge loss. So
huge loss. Oh, yeah.
So, Tony, just be very careful with the way you book Statlander.
Don't fuck up. Don't fuck that up, buddy. Don't fuck that up.
Yeah. Now, on Collision, they've announced that there's going to be 2 women's matches. So Mercedes will be in action. We don't know who her opponent will be. And then we have Jamie Hayter versus Aminata. So Jamie Hayter will be back, which is awesome. Aminata has been featured pretty regularly as well.
She's been getting some time.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Don't know that I really want her in this program with Deep, but like, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think she'll end up beating Deep, so.
I think so. I think that's where it's all leading. So there's a story for Aminata, and I think there's
a story for Aminata. We've been seeing Julia Hart here and there. So like, of course, in an ideal world, we'd get an hour woman special every month and all the women would be featured, but we have to be realistic. We know that they're not going to feature all the 30 women or whatever the number is that are signed to AEW. They're not going to be featured every week. That's just a reality. Right. This isn't an all women's wrestling promotion. So right now I am happy with what they're doing. Would I like to see more women? I mean, of course we all do, right? But we also have to look at the efforts that they've been making, and there definitely have been huge efforts this year. So
they've come a long way. I would just say, like, hey, it's improved. We're acknowledging the improvement, but we're also acknowledging that there's more work to do. And I think with AEW, they have the best women's division in the world right now. For any promotion that has a men's and a women's division, AEW's is on fire right now. And I'm very excited about where it's going to go from here. You don't just have 2 aces at the top anymore with Toni Storm and Mercedes. It's Toni Storm, it's Mercedes, Mariah May. There's more people that you can fall back on. Megan Bayne's getting a shot right up the ladder.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's going to be interesting to see where it goes from here. But yes, we're acknowledging the improvement and acknowledging that there's more work to do. But good on you, Tony. Keep it up. And this isn't enough. Keep pushing.
And one last thing that we should mention that was announced this week, Mina Shirakawa is coming to AEW. So she's going to be there full time.
Yeah.
Which I think is great.
That's huge. That's a huge get for AEW.
Absolutely. I do feel like there needs to be more Joshi presence in AEW that has been lacking. Although we have Shida, Riho, Yuka, and Emi, we don't get to see them regularly, unfortunately, for whatever reason. So if Mina could be featured regularly, that would be great. She's extremely charismatic. She has a great connection with the crowd. So I do like that they're bringing her in, and that will, she'll be another top female wrestler in AEW. And hopefully they give Jamie Hayter and Chris some really great things to do. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
One thing that also happened this week on Dynamite was MJF making his decision about whether to join the Hurt Syndicate or not. And, I have some friends of the show who are not as keen on MJF joining because they don't want Bobby and Shelton to just be his backup. And I completely understand that. Okay. I think that's a very fair thing to be concerned about. But what they did reveal to us, MJF made his decision. He told MVP, hey, I want to do it. Then Bobby's music hits and Shelton's music hits, and they come out. We hurt people. And they come out and they basically tell MJF to fuck off. And they tear up the card and they say, no, we're not down with this. So Bobby and Shelton are not feeling this at all. Later on, they confront MVP like, hey, you told us to go on vacation. Then you offer Max like your card. What the fuck? And, this guy's got a bad reputation. We don't feel good about this. And MVP just says, hey, I understand. I know who this guy is. And that's why I like him. So it's interesting. So they're kind of saying like, even Max said like, hey, we don't have to be friends to do business. And I like this. I like that it wasn't just like they came out and shook his fucking hand and walked off into the sunset together. And I think they're kind of building up the Owen in a really interesting way, because I do think MJF's going to be in the Owen. I think they're building it up in an interesting way. What do you think, Joshi?
I didn't expect that at all. I thought that was really well done. MVP wanting MJF to join and Bobby and Shelton saying, heck no, we don't trust this guy at all. Very interesting dynamic. Personally, I don't think MJF is joining Hurt Syndicate. I don't see that happening. And if he does, it will only be for a brief period of time.
I mean, that is MJF's entire character, is he joins up with somebody and then he fucks them over. I mean, that's always what he does. So,
exactly.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. And I think, maybe you're right. I mean, maybe Max isn't actually ever going to join the Hurt Syndicate, but where do they go from there? Where is this story going? I have no fucking idea. And I like that.
Well, speaking of Hurt Syndicate, did you hear that the original plan was for Bobby and Shelton to feud with Lance Archer and Brian Cage, but Brian's injured right now. So that's why they're going with Brian Keith and Big Bill. For sure, like I'm really interested to see where this is going, because it was very unexpected. And so will MJF feud with Lashley or Benjamin? I don't know. It looks like that's something that could happen. I don't see MJF in a tag team.
No.
So yeah, I think he's probably going to have he's going to be in a feud with one of them. That's my guess.
Okay. I feel like his work with Hanger isn't done. And
and that's
how is this going to play into that? Like, that's what I'm interested to see. So I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. I honestly have zero fucking idea where this is going. And that's fun. It's something's brewing. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree.
We have so much to talk about. We got to move on, Joshi. Let's do it, huh?
All right, so let's look at the AEW Dynasty card so far. So these are the matches that are confirmed. We've got Mox versus Swerve for the AEW Men's World Title. Keeping my fingers crossed that Swerve wins the belt. I'm sorry, but I don't want them to wait for Darby Allin.
I don't either. But I thought the setup for this match with, obviously there's been a short feud, right? That they're building to. And I think that the promos that they cut on each other, last week on Collision, Mox, Nancy Kerrigan, Swerve basically hit him in the leg with the pipe.
Yes.
And then basically after that, didn't really know where they were going to go last week. Swerve wasn't there. This week, Swerve calls Mox out, starts off strong, stumbled over his words for a second where I was a little confused about what he was saying. And then Moxley cut what I think is the best Mox promo I've heard in ages on Swerve.
Mm-hmm.
Mox is just such a good promo. He is. My God, this guy's just on fire. But Swerve's retort, like, you say you want violence. I am violence. And everything that Swerve says when he goes, whose house? And the crowd's just like, Swerve's house. Like, that's your guy. Swerve is your guy.
Yeah. He is. He's the top guy in AEW right now.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So if they're planning to have Swerve lose somehow,
they better not be.
The crowd is not going to like that if that's what happens.
No,
so
you put it on Swerve.
Yeah, I think they could be done with this version of the Death Rider story. It's obviously changed direction so many times since they started it. Why not change directions now? Because basically a lot of people would tell you that AEW is on fire except for the Death Riders. And
yes,
that's your main event story. So what are they? The only way I could see them going with a Swerve loss is if the Young Bucks come back and help fuck Swerve over. That's the only way.
Hope not.
Because the Bucks would gobble up that heat. They are maniacs who would risk being murdered by the crowd to do it. But we'll see. We'll take it from there.
So the next match that has been made official is Toni Storm versus Megan Bayne for the AEW Women's World Title. Mm-hmm. This one's really interesting because on Dynamite, Bayne did pin Toni Storm in the tag match.
Yep.
So as you mentioned earlier, do they pull a Brock Lesnar with Megan Bayne and put the belt on her immediately? I don't know. I'm not sure. The thing about it is that Toni Storm is such a huge draw.
Yeah.
Do you take the belt off of Toni? I don't know.
I don't know either.
See.
At this point, I don't know. Because I think that Megan Bayne, it's too soon for her to lose in a lot of, And then at the same time, Toni just won the belt back.
Yeah.
I can see them putting the belt on Megan, to be honest with you. I can see it. If there's a story to be told with it, I can see it.
It's definitely a possibility, for sure. Yeah. Next up, we've got Pac, Claudio, and Yuta versus Rated FTR for the Trios titles. Mm-hmm. So they've already planted the seeds for what's to come. Clearly, Dax is not playing along anymore. Mm-hmm. And a heel turn is definitely coming. So I don't like this one. It would be cool if Rated FTR won the belts and then dropped them, and then would drop them like, I don't know, a month later because of the story. But they might not even win them at all. It depends how they decide to, what direction they decide to take with this. Because either way, whether Rated FTR wins the titles or not, Dax is turning heel.
Yeah, so what I would say is they're definitely not winning the Trios titles. I don't think there's any chance in hell that they're going to win them. I think that they are going to... Copeland is going to probably take the pinfall in this match. Mm-hmm. Or Dax is going to take the pinfall, and they're going to blame Copeland. I think Cash Wheeler is going to swerve Copeland, and I think he's going to turn as well. Him saying what Adam's done for him will add to the kind of heartbreak of them both turning on Adam. But I think that's where it's going. And I think really you can't break up FTR. What's their value if you break them up, right?
Cash will also turn heel. It's going to happen.
Cash has to turn heel.
Now. Yeah.
But I think they're a great fit for the Death Riders, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. There's still a possibility that they'll join the Death Riders. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I think it's going. I think the Death, that's basically what we predicted for Revolution. We just didn't get to, it just didn't happen there. But it seems like we're going in a consistent direction.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Kenny Omega versus Speedball Mike Bailey versus Ricochet for the AEW International title. So that's going to be a very interesting match.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. Clearly, Kenny's going to retain.
I think he has to.
Yeah. Who's going to get pinned? I don't know. Like, maybe Mike Bailey. Ideally, I don't want him to because he hasn't been in AEW for that long, but we'll see. You know, getting pinned doesn't mean that, you know, your career is over and that you're a jobber, as long as the story is good. So
Mike Bailey's a kind of baby face. He's like Rey Mysterio, where he can take a pin. It's not like the end of the world if he loses. Ricochet could take a pin too, though. I don't really think it matters that much, but I do think they're building to Okada versus Kenny at All In, and they're going to merge those titles. And I think Kenny has to hold on here. I mean, I know, Joshi, that if it was up to you, you would probably have Kenny hug Mike and just lay him gently on the canvas as he's hugging him, and they count the 3 while he's laying on top of him. I doubt that's happening. I'm just going to tell you, I doubt that.
Yes, I know that. I just felt a little bit bad for Mike Bailey because Kenny wasn't being as nice to him.
Big leagued him. Yeah.
Yes. Next up, we've got Chris Jericho versus Bandito for the ROH title. So it's title versus Bandito's mask. No way Bandito is losing this match.
Fuck no.
No.
Fuck no. And I think they kind of did that to tell you Bandito's winning. Like,
yeah.
You know, just so that there's no more belly aching. So there wasn't a belly ache about Jericho being on pay-per-view. So that, and to be fair, Jericho's been really good in this feud.
Yeah. He's been cutting great promos.
It's been nice to see Chris Jericho kind of do what he does best, which is get heat on himself and build up somebody like Bandito. I think he's helping Bandito get over. You know, people have said a lot of crazy shit about Jericho. Some of it's, I can see at least why they think that, and some of it's just overblown bullshit. He's doing good work here.
Yeah. So these are some matches that aren't confirmed, but we imagine that they might take place at Dynasty. So Hurt Syndicate versus Learning Tree. So Brian Keith and Big Bill. Mercedes, I don't know. They're definitely not doing Athena Mercedes at Dynasty.
No,
this would be way too
so
rushed.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Like, what a giveaway. That'd be so dumb.
So who will she wrestle? I don't know. They haven't really.
Or maybe there's just a development, you know, like they did with Swerve with MVP at Wrestle Dream, where he just came out and did a segment.
Maybe.
That's all they really need. They don't need to have Mercedes defend the belt. I know she defended the belt on a show where the world title wasn't defended. I think it was one of the pay-per-views. You know, they do that sometimes. So I don't think Mercedes necessarily needs to defend it. It's probably a good idea to get her a little rest too.
Yeah. Would be too rushed anyway. So
yeah.
So no idea what Mercedes is doing yet. We imagine we'll get Garcia Cole.
Right.
Probably.
No time limit, or like a longer time limit and less handcuffs, because they went to the draw on Collision. A very good match, by the way. Very good match.
And then we've got Okada.
Yeah.
So where is Okada?
I don't think he's going to wrestle on this show. I just don't
I don't think so.
I don't think there's enough time to make it worthwhile to have him work this show.
I agree. So that's it for Dynasty. So far, it's shaping up to be a very good pay-per-view. So looks like the trend is continuing. Yeah. So that's good.
One thing that I think deserves to be mentioned quickly is it amongst, you know, these insanely good television shows that AEW is doing, is I think their meat and potatoes storytelling has improved so much. And part of that is it feels like they have a plan for people coming back from injuries. They're not just coming back for the pop and then slot it in wherever you can fit them in, or maybe not, you know. There was a lot of people coming back and then just disappearing into the ether for months at a time or weeks at a time. And I think you can look to, and also new signings, getting a big pop, they come in and then there's not a plan. I think that happened with Jay White, where there wasn't a super solid plan for him. I think that happened with Deonna Purrazzo. I think it's still happening with Deonna. Like she came, it got people excited in the moment, but they've never quite landed on a firm spot for her. And that's not happening. And I think you can look at people like Speedball and Hobbs and Bandito as examples of Tony has decided these people belong in AEW and I want to feature them every week. And he's finding ways to do that. And that makes the shows a lot more fun. And you're going to sell more tickets too, because if people know who they're going to see, they know what they're paying for. And I will say as an AEW fan, that has been a thing for me in the past where it's like, the first Dynamite I ever went to, Bryan Danielson wrestled Tony Nese. No offense to Tony Nese, but like, it's not exactly the marquee match I was hoping for, know?
But, I will say they've done an excellent job featuring Will Hobbs ever since he came back from his injury.
He's on every week somehow.
Every week, booked very strong. Same with Bandito.
Yeah.
Comes back and he's getting these title shot opportunities.
And they're getting bigger reactions too because they're on every week. Daniel Garcia's starting to get bigger reactions too, even though his title reign maybe has left something to be desired. It's one of the lower points of AEW right now is that TNT title reign. But that's not Danny's fault. That's the booking.
Right.
But, I think the people Tony's really made his mind up about, these are my top of the tops, is Mercedes, Tony, Mariah, Julia Hart, Jamie Hayter, Chris Statlander, Willow, Thunder Rosa. On the men's side, I think you have Mox, Kenny, Swerve, Hangman, MJF, FTR, the Bucks, Christian, Cope, Takeshita, and Ospreay. And then you have people like Jay White, Mark Briscoe, Bandito, Hobbs, Fletcher, Aminata, Julia, Brody, and some others, Kyle Fletcher, who are getting opportunities to become stars. And they're being featured consistently. That's what you need. You need the consistent exposure to have a chance to get over. And I think Tony's done an excellent job of that this year. I love it. It's made the product so much more fun to watch. I think maybe that might even be the biggest improvement they've made.
Definitely a huge one.
And at the same time, it also justifies kind of lessening the size of the roster too, which is like, hey, Layla Hirsch, we like you. You're great. But we don't see that you're going to break through. So let's take the pressure off us and you, let you go build your name up somewhere else. I think Tony's decided about some people, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, now they're bringing in Mina, so who are you going to give that spot to, Layla or Mina? You have to make these kind of decisions, and they're not always easy. But you have to, give time to the wrestlers that draw, or if they're not drawing a lot yet, at least that the crowd feels a connection to.
And if you're not going to justify carving out the TV time to let them have that shot, they have no chance. Yeah. So just cut bait. You know what I mean? But, these people were paid through their end of their contracts. So no harm, no foul. Okay. Well, it's been quite a show already, but it's about to get 1/3 bigger because we got our friend, well, my friend, your more than friend.
Yes.
Joshi J is about to join the chat because we got some news, some rumors, some roundup to go over before we get out of here. Now, Tony has a butler and, Luther. Gerald is my butler. He's 3'7" though. And he cues the music. Gerald, can you do that now?
Thanks, Gerald.
All right, we're back, and we are 1/3 larger because we are joined for the first time simultaneously, husband and wife, together as one. And me, Blade Daily. Joshi J is in the chat. What's up, motherfucker?
What's up? Blade? Good to see you again, my friend. I am fucking ready to be done with this week for sure. And I can't wait to get into this big news we've heard with the women's division this weekend.
Hey, what about me?
Oh, hey.
What about me,
Joshi.
sweetheart?
I deal with you every day.
Oh, look at that. Unbelievable.
I deal with you every day.
I already have iBlade antagonizing me every week. Now you're on this podcast and you're also gonna act like this.
Yeah. I don't talk to iBlade nearly as much, and he's easier to put up with. So
wow. Okay.
I'm just saying, if you guys ever split like Joshi J, what's up?
Whoa. I am easy to deal with.
Well, you at least stop trying to ship Kenny Omega and Mike Bailey. So,
oh gosh.
First things first. Saraya has announced her departure from AEW. It sounds like it was a mutual decision, according to her, and that they're parting on excellent terms. Joshi J, give us your thoughts.
Well, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, like one bit. You look at the women's division in AEW. It just can't be a surprise to anyone when you look at how many people are fighting over what is it going to be like four women's segments and per week in AEW, just on average. You're usually gonna have the two on Dynamite and the two on Collision. I mean, it's a little better, I guess. On a week you have a pay-per-view, but for the most part, it's 4 segments. And I mean, you look at just the AEW Women's Championship title picture, which you have to consider. Saraya has always kind of defaulted to. I mean, she's a former AEW, women's champion in 2023. I mean, she kind of just kept the title warm for Shida. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, she's been there. She's been in that spot. But, you just look around, like how many other people are fighting over that spot right now with Toni Storm, Mariah, we'll talk about in a minute. Mina is going to be arriving there soon. I mean, she may not contend for the world, the women's world title right away, but she's certainly going to be with those other two, at least at first. Mercedes, although she's, the TNT champion, she's certainly not going to be in, that spot forever. She's eventually going to move up. You have Hayter, just returned from injury. Statlander, who a lot of people feel is like completely overdue, like way overdue for a women's world title run.
We were just talking about that. Yeah.
And then you got Shida, a 3-time women's champion. She's not, there all the time, but she's still there. And then for what it's worth, you have Britt Baker for the time being. But I mean, that's just at the top. Okay. And then underneath that, you'll have the TBS championship, which you can bet, Harley and Megan Bayne are both going to be tied to immediately. Like in the next, coming weeks, they're going to be in that picture. So you take all that in consideration and you figure, well, where does Saraya fit into this? How do you get Saraya on TV with all of that? You're either going to be, you're either going to have to choose the big name, the former WWE name, that you brought in, you gave that magical moment in London. I mean, and then you have just people like Thunder Rosa and even Nyla Rose. They are still there. I mean, but how do you get Saraya involved in this? And they've tried putting her on, TV and little pre-match segments and stuff, kind of bunched up with, other people. But I mean, how long can you keep that going when your long-term plans do not really involve Saraya that much? And I think they can both see that. It doesn't surprise me at all that it's a mutual, decision that it's probably not realistic. They're gonna go with the building up their own talent, first. That's a decision you can clearly see AEW is making, because since 2023, and of course, there have been injuries. There's been stuff that have kept Saraya on the shelf. But I mean, you just look around. I mean, it's stacked right now. Even WWE would have a tough time with 3 shows. With 3 shows, they would have a tough time putting all of AEW's roster on television right now. I mean, they are freaking stacked right now. And I just think Saraya is just being real. And it's sad. But just because, I can understand it, it doesn't make it any easier to digest because it's sad. You go back and you look at what they did with her in 2023, how big it was whenever she took off, when she debuted in, AEW, you kind of wanted to see that redemption. You wanted to see her really turn it around and really gain that traction in AEW. And, but clearly they just, it's hard to say, man, but they don't need her the way they needed her 2 years ago. They just don't. You got to get strike iron while it's hot and everything. And at the end of the day, Saraya is just not hot right now. She's not.
No. So, Joshi G, what are your thoughts on this?
The reality is that back when she appeared in AEW in 2022, I did like what they were doing with her in the sense that her very first opponent was Britt Baker. She cut a very good promo. What I didn't like about that entire feud was that the babyface ended up being Britt Baker. So already that wasn't a great start for Saraya. I don't know what the heck happened here, but the fans just chose Baker. She was the heel. I don't feel that helped at all. That did not help Saraya. It was just like, no, we prefer Britt. She's the original, AEW original. Then they did the whole thing with the Outcast. Fans weren't feeling that, let's be honest. I feel the AEW fans, for whatever reason, did not connect with Saraya very well. Why? I don't know. Is it because of who her boyfriend was? Is it because obviously she can't go in the ring like she used to pre-retirement? Is it because they just don't like her personality? I don't know. But what I can say is I never felt like the fans connected with Saraya. And the one time that I felt Saraya was actually just having a lot of fun and doing super well was when she was with Harley Cameron. I will give her that. She helped Harley immensely. And I do appreciate that. I really do. And Saraya, she's been through a lot. She, there was a sex tape that was leaked.
Terrible.
There was Alberto Del Rio, that entire situation. She's been through a lot of bullshit, Yeah. And so, of course, like Joshi J said, we wanted this redemption storyline, and we wanted her to, to be this huge female signing that AEW absolutely needed. It did not work out that way, unfortunately.
Well, and I think, probably what the first thing that went wrong, her catchphrase is, this is my house. And her saying that to Britt night one was probably not the right move. And I'm not sure who to blame for that. I'm not sure if that's a Tony Khan thing or if that's a Saraya should have known better thing. But if you're the babyface, I do actually wonder the second time they did a promo, Britt cut a straight up babyface promo. Like, I've worked here. This is, I've built this division up from scratch. She was supposed to be the heel. And she cut this very babyface promo. I'm like, nobody's going to boo that. And I'm like, did Britt just go into business for herself? Like, what the fuck was that? Because it did nothing to help Saraya as a babyface. I don't know if they were trying to do a subtle shift, but that was rough. That was rough. Joshi, what do you think about this thing going on? Joshi G, I'm going to call you G and you J. G, what do you think's going on with Britt Baker?
Listen, I don't think AEW fumbled Britt Baker. I just don't. The first few years of AEW, she was pretty much the only woman that cut promos. Yeah. She was always on television.
Right.
Always. I mean, Sheeta as champion didn't cut as many promos as Britt, for crying out loud. Okay? And the thing about Britt, a few things. I don't have any problems with Britt. She was my favorite for a while. However, her wrestling has not improved. Okay? The women's division, they have freaking got, the women have gotten so freaking good, and she just cannot match them on that level. And it's very apparent when somebody like Harley Cameron can have a better match with Mercedes than Baker.
And someone like Anna J is passing you up. I mean, it should be concerning.
It's concerning. Sure. So that's one thing. That's one thing that's very alarming. Her wrestling is just not improving, period. Second problem with Britt Baker. There are problems with her backstage, and that is very obvious. Started with the whole Thunder Rosa thing. She did the whole sandbagging thing on television, which I really didn't like. There was that stupid reality show where Baker was constantly shitting on Thunder Rosa. As we know, Thunder Rosa had severe back issues at the time, and Britt Baker kept criticizing her. Oh, she's not coming to work. She's a champion. She should. Then fast forward a couple of years, Baker's the one with the freaking back problems, and she's not showing up to work. So don't ever judge someone that's clearly very injured. It's not right to do that. So it was like with Baker problems, right? Then she comes back at Forbidden Door last year. Challenges Mercedes Moné at All In. This is the biggest match of her career. Mercedes Moné is her inspiration. She gets her ass suspended. I mean, what the hell are you? She gets her ass suspended, leaves Mercedes hanging on her own for weeks on Dynamite. At All In, the match just isn't good. So let me ask you both something. Mercedes Moné, a veteran in professional wrestling, how do you think she felt?
That was super unprofessional, period. Just period. Like, you come back and you immediately get suspended?
She's not, like, I'm sorry, Britt, this isn't your division anymore. It's not
biggest
all about
show
you
of
anymore.
The year in front of 50,000 people.
Yeah. It's like, how could you mess that up with Mercedes so badly? And Mercedes is not happy with that match, by the way, with good reason. Joshi J, what do you think?
Well, like I said, I mean, we don't. It's hard to just predict, how Mercedes Moné is going to feel about someone that she just kind of walked into the company. I'm sure it wasn't a good impression, but I mean, I don't know how their relationship evolved, if at all, backstage over the course of the last year or two. But I mean. Though I do think it's preposterous for anyone to think, especially Britt herself, to think that AEW has fumbled her in some way. I mean, if there was just one, and usually there was just one women's segment on AEW television for the first 3 years of its fucking existence, chances are it featured Britt Baker. So I don't want to hear about fumbling. I mean, they put a lot of stock into Britt. The suspension, like G said, it didn't do her any favors, especially whenever you've got a lot of new people joining this company. A lot of them have very similar backgrounds, and they can go all damn day in the ring, and they're coming up, and she's getting passed up by a lot of people on the roster. But I mean, I certainly don't think that's AEW's fault. Preposterous. No way.
Preposterous. Absolutely not.
Look, do I want Britt Baker to leave, or do I want her to get released? No, I don't. However, if that were to happen, would this hurt the women's division? No. Toni Storm has surpassed her on the mic. Mariah May has surpassed her on the mic. I mean, she's not. I think Britt needs to be real with herself and notice that this division has grown you and it has outgrown you. And either you got to play nice and step up your game and be professional, or you're not going to last in AEW. Like, look, I know Tony always used to protect Britt. Like, Britt was his favorite female in that company. But then when Tony and Mercedes and Mariah came in, things changed.
Well, and let's be real. There's the other thing to consider. Did Britt removing AEW from her bio actually mean anything?
We don't know.
I mean, I certainly think I don't know if it meant what we're saying, what we're talking about right now, but I certainly think it meant something. I mean, come on. I just gotta. It could be kayfabe. It could be kayfabe.
Well, see, what I find really unfortunate is that in 2022 and half of 2023, Baker was with Jamie Hayter a lot. Mm-hmm. And she was like, yeah, she still cut the promos, but at least she was more of like the sidekick. And we were hoping that with time, that would lead to a Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker rivalry. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, Jamie Hayter got injured and we didn't get a match. And now we might not get it anytime soon because guess what? Britt Baker's not friends with Jamie anymore.
Right.
So it's just unfortunate that she keeps running into problems with people at AEW like Thunder Rosa, MJF, Jamie Hayter. Like, I hate to say it, but she is a little bit like Phil Brooks, but a female version. I hate saying it, I do, but like, come on, you look at all these issues with her, and she's the common denominator. It's kind of hard to ignore at this point.
What I have heard, and Sean Ross Sapp is the source on this, so I generally trust what he says, is she's under contract for like a long time still.
She is.
Like it's not like she's like her deal's up in 2 months. Like she's under contract for a while. So is it a negotiating tactic of some type? Is it, maybe. Who knows? But a lot of people noticed, so I thought we would talk about it. Last thing that a lot of people noticed, and this is also from Sean Ross Sapp, is he found out that Miss Mariah May is a free agent in the summer. Ooh. And I saw a lot of people getting their panties in a bunch, feeling like she's about to leave. Sean said that he got some misinformation that showed her on some kind of incoming talent thing in WWE. And he's like, they don't even have that. Also, that's contract tampering. She's under contract through the summer. Does this mean anything? Should we be scared as AEW fans? I'm just going to say no. I don't think so.
No. I can almost guarantee no. Like, no way. No way. She's Mariah as good as she's doing, and in AEW right now, the amount of support she has. I mean, the fact like her longtime friend is about to join the freaking company, and I mean, things just couldn't be going better for her and Tony and this situation, and it's only a matter of time before they have a rubber match. I mean, it's gonna happen. They're gonna drag this. No way. I understand why you were talking about it. Yeah, you're gonna notice the contract's gonna come to an end, and but I don't think this one should be causing any controversy whatsoever. This is a non-issue. I mean, it will be renewed. They're going to pay her. She's going to fucking deserve it when they do. So no, I don't see any timeline, the Mariah leaves AEW in 2025. Hell no. No way.
I don't think so. G, are we missing something here, or what are your thoughts?
I highly doubt it, but I'm not going to say 0% chance. Because
no, there's not a 0% chance.
There's always that slim like possibility, but I'm going to say no. Why? Well, first off, she hasn't even wrestled some of her dream opponents like Mercedes and Jamie Hayter. Why would she leave all of a sudden? She's made it known she wants a match with Jamie and with Mercedes and with Britt Baker, by the way.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So why would she leave in the summer? She's just going to be like, oh, forget these like dream matches of mine. I mean, she was like one of the wrestlers trying to convince Mercedes to sign with AEW. Now you have Mercedes. Your best friend, Harley Cameron, is there. Yeah. You haven't had a program with her yet. I'm like thinking in French because they say like a program, but like they haven't had a showdown yet. And Mina is coming, clearly. And that's a feud that is going to continue. Secondly, man, like, okay, let's just be brutally honest here. Mariah May joined AEW, when was it? It was like November 2023. Well, that's when we saw her on television.
Yeah.
Immediately put her with Tony Storm. Developed this like year-long storyline that's leading up to Mariah betraying Tony. That happens, beats Tony at All In, hasn't even been in AEW for a year yet, and becomes the AEW Women's World Champion.
Yep.
Holds on to the belt for a good amount of time. And then she has like one of the best women's matches that we have ever seen at Revolution. The best woman's story we've ever seen in professional wrestling. She has been treated like freaking gold in AEW. Why the hell would she leave? As long as Tony gives her what she wants, pay her whatever the hell she wants. Yeah. She deserves every freaking penny. And just keep featuring her on TV as prominently as possible because she's worth everything. She is, I mean, the fact that we're talking about her like this, like, I don't want to like draw too many parallels, but we have mentioned Diana is kind of lost in the shuffle. So Diana, she came in last January.
I forgot to mention Diana.
Unfortunately, she hasn't been used as well as we were hoping. But look at Mariah though. Like, that is like, isn't that every wrestler's dream? It's like, oh, you know, like, I'm going to join a company and they're just going to put me in a feud with the top female star and I'm going to beat her and win the world title not even a year in. And I'm going to have the best freaking storyline in all of professional wrestling today. Isn't that like the biggest dream you can ask for? I think Mariah has been treated exceptionally well. I just don't see why she would leave AEW. I think that she has accomplished a lot more than most do in a year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think this is a case of somebody being very smart, where they bet on themselves at the beginning. They just signed a short deal. Yeah. And now they're going to get a big fucking payday because she had the confidence and the ability to carry herself that way. So to me, it's just a matter of she's incredible and she bet on herself 2 years ago. Now she's going to be working for a lot more money and she deserves every penny of it.
Well, and Tony bet on her. He had come up with this storyline with RJ City and others when she was still in Stardom. Absolutely. Like, he looked at Mariah in Stardom and said, I want her in AEW and I'm going to put her in this really long storyline with Tony Storm. So clearly Tony saw something in Mariah even before she was signed. Like, imagine that, already having this long-term plan for someone that's not even signed to your company yet. Mariah May is a special talent.
Absolutely.
And no, she's
elite. She's elite.
And if she were to go to WWE, where the hell would they even put her? I mean, really, they already have Tiffany Stratton, right? The people like to compare it to
Mariah May. Yeah.
Yeah. What would they do with her? Like,
Mariah May.
Like Joshi J was saying earlier, their division, you know, in general, their roster is freaking stacked. Yep. They don't even use half of their women.
Right.
That would be like just that would just be so upsetting if she were to go to WWE and get lost in the shuffle like that, because she deserves so much better. And AEW, I feel, is the place for her. I truly do believe that.
I think we all agree on that. And with that, friends, we must conclude our activities today. I just want to quickly encourage people, go to sickosclub.com. Go check out what we're doing over there. We have awesome merch. We have an awesome blog. We have contributor articles coming out all the time. We're writing articles. We listen to The Hard Way with Brett Michelle, sister podcast to what we do here at Sit Down, Shut Up. I am tortured there weekly by Brett Michelle and a guest, and we have a great time, and we talk graps, and it's a lot of fun. Go check out all those things. But next week, we're coming back at you with our AEW Dynasty preview and predictions. That's going to be a blast. I think we're going to have our friend Antoine back with us. I should probably ask him before I promote that. But until then, I'm Blade Daly.
I'm Joshi G.
I'm Joshi J.
Pro wrestling forever.